So hello to everyone who has joined us today. My name is Yarden. I'm from the Study in Israel team. And today I'm here with some of the international students that are currently studying at Israeli universities. And they're here to share their experiences. So I have some questions prepared and let's get started. So first, I'd like each of you guys to present yourselves, your names, where you're from, and what you're currently studying. So Liz, how about we do it? Liz, you'll go first, Antoine, Rory, and then Jonathan.
Hi, my name is Liz Seek. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois in the US. I'm currently working on my PhD at Ben-Gurion University of the Negev, and my area of research is Bedouin women and cultural constructs around success and failure. But I was also lucky enough to do my master's degree here in Israel studies, also at Ben-Gurion University of the Negev.
All right, then, so hi everyone, I'm Antoine. I come from France, as Rory, and I came to study MBA in sustainability here in Israel. The main reason we might be explained later on, but it was basically to follow Rory because she was studying international relations, so that's what she planned. And yeah.
So yeah, my name is Rory. In French is Aurore, and we've been here since October, end of October. I'm studying international relation at Haifa University. I'm doing a dual degree between Israel and Poland. And so we are really happy to be here, yes.
Hi, my name is Jonathan. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm studying my bachelor's degree in civil engineering, and I'm in my final year of study. At the moment, my degree specializes into construction management and environmental engineering, but I have also taken up the task of adding another major into transportation planning. Thank you.
You're mute, I think, Jordan.
Oops. So the first question I'd like you all to answer is, why did you choose to study in Israel? Liz, you want to go first?
Sure, we can do same order. So for my master's degree, which was the first time I came to Israel, I wanted to study something very specific, which was the relationship between rap music and identity of Arab Israelis. So the location, first of all, made the most sense. And I was also able to work within a small research institute. So I had a lot of one-on-one interaction with my advisor. I had classes that were very applicable to what I was learning, and just specialists in the area that I was able to work very closely with. So it really just made sense. On top of that, I was able to live and work in a really great student community that's in Beersheba. So that was another consideration. And the cost, especially compared to US universities, is extremely, extremely affordable. So it was kind of this whole basket of three rolled into one.
Okay, so if I can go next. After my bachelor in management, I recognized that environment could have a strong impact on business, on anything, and I wanted to study this more deeply. And so as Rory was going to Israel, I wanted also to find something there. So I looked online, so at the University of Haifa, and I found out this MBA. And I told myself it's a great opportunity to be able to also discover a new country again, a new culture, a new alphabet, a new language. And yeah, we've been studying a little bit of Hebrew, and it's actually more easier than what we thought at the beginning. So yeah.
And so for myself, I really wanted to study international relations. So it's a lot about diplomacy, about conflict, and I've been working during my bachelor degree on Arabic states, and so I really wanted to get deeper into Israeli-Palestine conflicts, and so this is why I came here. And the program that I'm doing, it's a good opportunity for me because it's 2 years in 2 different countries. And I really like that, this partnership between Israel and many other universities abroad, which is very helpful to find a master degree, which you do a lot of traveling, but easily because everything is already organized by the school. And as Liz said, the cost is also a good choice for me to come here. And obviously, I didn't know it before the beginning of the pandemic because I applied just before we knew that it was going to be that huge. But when I look at it now, I will not have taken another choice for continue to do my studies during the pandemic because it's a good environment and a very good place to live during those days.
Yeah, for me, Israel is a well-known research and development hub. And for me, this is really important because I sort of feel that there's a big connection between research and development and releasing things into the market and generally creating things that go back to serve the community and people. And just getting that opportunity to studying in such universities in Israel makes a big difference. And also the cost of education is way much cheaper than other places I would have considered.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of living in Israel, as you are international students, the culture is different than where you come from. So I'm curious to know, was it easy to adapt to Israel? And in terms of just living here, what have you found to be more of a culture shock or more surprising? Or what are things that also, what are things that you've just been enjoyed in living here?
So I think I've been out of all of us here the longest. I've lived here, it's been over 8 years now, starting with my master's and the PhD. But for me, I feel like coming as a student, you're actually kind of, there's like a cushion of like integration into Israeli society because you started as part of the student community. So this is a great way to make friends, to kind of start to create your networks. And from there, kind of move forward. So even from in my master's degree, I was also with Israelis. So I have friends today that I've known for years that I'm still in contact with who are like quote unquote Sabras, which is like what you call the native Israelis. And I mean, the biggest culture shock for me was probably Israelis are very forward so that you'll always know what's on their mind. Which can be great in some situations. If you're working or you're with your advisor, you'll know when they're happy with you and you'll know when you need to improve. But in other situations, for someone who comes from a country where it's like you just smile and are polite and then, are thinking something completely different, it can be like a bit shocking. So like in public, Israelis they're much more willing to like be loud. But at the same token, I've never lived someplace where I felt as safe. You can run at any time of the night and Israelis will help you. If there's an emergency situation, if something is wrong, they'll always be there for you. They'll always help you. They'll open their homes to you. So it's a very nice thing and something I wasn't used to and was quite pleasantly surprised when I got here.
What I could add is, so like there is a lot of accurate stuff what you said, Liz, and for me the feeling of safety, honestly, is like when you go out, you can go wherever you want, and really like at the beach, etc. It can be midnight or even during the night, and it's really feeling safe. What was surprising is maybe the look of the people. So it seems that they have a look that are close, so like it's hard to go forward, but as soon as you speak to them and just exchange with them, they are really open and willing to help and willing to discuss and explain where, for example, as student tourists, so which means that we wanted also to visit a little bit the country, we asked a lot of questions to Israelis that know the place, and they were really willing to explain us, okay, so you should go there, this is maybe not a place to see, this is really relevant if you like nature, for example. So it was really like a privilege to exchange with them and really easy to just communicate. And they almost all speak English, which is good.
Yeah, so and the situation of the pandemic makes it very different compared to other places we've been to before. Like we didn't gather as international when we arrived because there were not everybody who arrived in Israel. And so it makes us really go to see the local people and to spend time with Israeli people. And no, it's been a very good experience so far. We find people that are really always like happy to help you, happy to spend time with you. We actually have a group of a barbecue team that we do with Israeli for every Shabbat. Now they're really open-minded. They share a lot about their culture. How many times the people told us like, let's go to the desert together, like we're gonna go camping or something like that. So they're really helpful, and really like there is, as Liz said, is not really formal relationships as we can have in Europe, for example, for us, with teachers or adults over there. Here, you really have like friendly people who can help you. For example, the woman who keeps the dorms where we live is like a mom for us because she helps us every time. And we have another Israeli who lives like next to us, who is like a big brother who bring us everywhere to look at the country. So a good experience.
Yeah, I think also pretty much what I will say will echo what Liz, Antoine, and Rory have already said. Really, Israel is really safe. I remember like about 1.5 years ago when my mother came to Israel, she was surprised that people could afford to move around and do things, run their errands in the middle of the night and not have any concern about their security or their safety. Also, one thing that really stood out for me, as has been mentioned earlier, is that there's not much formality, even with the professors. So you find that the professors are really interested to know even everything that happens in our daily lives, just to understand that and appreciate that we're coping well with adjusting to Israel, and we're able to get our way around, and just familiarize ourselves with the country, and to be able to get whatever we need at any point in time.
Nice. So I'd like to talk about the more practical aspects, starting with student housing. Since you are all in different universities, I think it's all relevant to hear how the student housing is in each of the universities, and what are the different options, really.
During my master's, I lived for 1 semester in the dorms. There's Ben Gurion University, they have a small campus that's located in the middle of the desert. So that's where my research institute was located. The dorms happen to be all brand new, which is great. We also share our campus with the desert studies. So they're all eco-friendly as well and are built into the landscape. But on the main campus, I know they also have dorms, and you also have the option of living independently with Israelis, with other friends, with other students. And I would say it's relatively easy to do that as well, but you have pretty much any option that you want. So yeah.
For us, so we are living in Haifa, so we are studying at the University of Haifa, which means that there are 2 dorms basically from the school. So we have the opportunity to go to one of them and have like some rooms there for 2 or even for 1. You can have flight-mate opportunities, like to meet new people and new students, also to go sleep with some like of your friends. There is also the possibility just to go for landlords and rent a room or an apartment within the town. For us, we started looking at Airbnb at the beginning, and we decided, because it was incorporated from the school and we wanted the guidelines to be really clear, we asked the school to help us with the living and the apartment. So that's where we're living today. And it's also good because we're living with some students around us.
No, it's super convenient as well for the documents. We've been traveling in Europe and studying in Europe, and there is a big difference about what you have to sign, what you have to take care of. The school really helped us to come, and especially during the pandemic, we arrived at a time where we didn't have a choice we could not plan and change after our leaving the place we live easily. So the school was super open-minded and very helpful with that. Everything is included. You don't need I mean, you have help next to you if you need, and it's really well organized, and that's really convenient when you decide to live abroad and to move somewhere that you don't know about. We know that at the beginning many students will take the campus choices, and after that, after a semester or two, they decide to maybe move into the city, which gives a double like experience, because once you're like with the students in the campus, and after you can live easily in town. I would advise first to go on the campus and with the school, because it's way easier to arrive, to look at the city and understand how is it, to after being able to move, which is also very easy.
So the Technion is also in Haifa, so pretty much what was mentioned by Anton and Aurori is what I'm going to say, but in regard to living off campus. But living on campus as an undergraduate student, there, over the course of the 4-year program, there are 2 dormitories where you can live on campus, and in each case, basically the setup is you stay 2 years of your degree in one, and then you shift to another after the last set of 2 years. And in both cases, both apartments have 5 rooms, and each student has their own personal bedroom. And once you proceed on to master's and PhD, there are other living options on campus where you can even have up to, I believe, even up to a 2-room apartment. So it's, I think as you progress, it also becomes convenient. Also, just to mention, living off campus, there are a wide variety of Facebook groups where people actually post up houses for rent, and usually they target students. So usually they even post on the pages of the university for international students. So it's always good to have a look. And there are websites also that also help in looking for housing in Haifa.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to mention. There are tons of Facebook groups to rent rooms, and also there are websites such as Yad Shtaim, which is YAD2, if I'm not mistaken. So there are tons of options like that. But yes, as you all said, living on campus is the easiest way to go, especially when you're in your first year. Okay, so now I'd like to talk about the acceptance process. I'll just mention on this subject that on our website at studyisrael.org.il, there is the whole process laid out and what documents you may need to get accepted to universities. And in terms of the process to get a visa, to study in Israel, you need an A2 student visa. And those applications for the visas you make at the Israeli embassy or consulate that's closest to you abroad. And when you do that, you need to submit a number of documents to the embassy, including an acceptance letter from the institution. And specifically now, because of Corona, also information about isolation conditions. But that's specifically been added because of the pandemic. And so in addition, the students that are coming from what are currently labeled as red countries are required to complete a 2-week isolation when they arrive. And all this information that you need to know about the application process and about everything related to the pandemic, you can find out on our website. And in the continuation of the fair, once we're finished with the session, you can also ask us on the chat if more specifically about these things, and then also to the universities that you're interested in applying to. Okay, do you want to add something, Liz?
I can just say, for what was a bit confusing for me when I applied for my master's, was that you apply not necessarily to the school, but you apply directly to the institute. And it's a much more personal process than for me doing my BA in the US was. You talk directly to, it's my experience, the head of the institute. And yeah, it's a much more personalized process and very specific for each institute, for each program.
Great. Okay, so now I'd like to talk about the positives and the negatives, we'll call it like that. What have been the highlights of your academic experience, as well as what have been the challenges you've faced?
For me, for my master's, it was for sure turning in my thesis and going through the defense process of my thesis. It was like the culmination of all my hard work. As part of that, also working with my advisor. I have a very close relationship with my advisor, who's also my advisor for my PhD. So the process of doing the literature review, doing all of the research with him, it was just a wonderful experience that I obviously want to repeat for another 4 years for my PhD. The lows, I guess, is it can seem overwhelming, especially when you're at the beginning of the process, how much work there is to do. And it's especially for your MA and for your PhD, a lot of it is very independent. So you need to sit down and actually get the work done. There's not too many hard deadlines that you have. So you need to not procrastinate all on your own, which is a lot harder than you think. But in the end, it is very worth it.
You want to go first?
Yeah, for the pros and cons, the pros, like with my school, I get the chance to do many field trips. That really was not something that we do in Europe. So that's super cool because we get to see professionals on the ground working on the field that you're studying too. So it was really interesting. We still have some coming up. So that's a really good advantage of being here. Also, as a bit I said before, like the fact that you can be really close to your teacher is not something like too formal, and that's really helpful, especially during the pandemic time where you have to maybe you can need more help. Disadvantage will be for me, but I think it's common to many countries right now, the fact that we don't have the classes on campus so far, but apparently it's going to open very soon, so it's super exciting for us. That was a bit more complicated as well, like for the readings and for the materials of the class. But honestly, the library of the university are quite open, and you can still go over there and take manuals of books that you need. So that's really cool too. But yeah, the pandemic doesn't make it easy, I think, for the whole university to organize it. But if you look at the big picture, there is way more advantages of being here with field trips, like very good Zoom adaptation from the school, which is not always easy to follow classes. And because I'm doing a master degree in diplomacy, which asks a lot about negotiation and simulations, it's not always easy to do it on Zoom, but the school succeed to make us work in good condition, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to focus on, is basically the reaction from the school and universities regarding the pandemic and the access on the course through Zoom. They are really willing to help you if you have any questions regarding the courses, your teachers also. And one of my advantages would be to say that because it's remote, we can study wherever we want as soon as we have a connection. So I used to study at the beach, for example. So it's pretty cool and pretty convenient. So yeah, regarding disadvantage, so like it's really recent, and it's I will speak more about the oil spill regarding Israel itself. And so we can't have access to the beach anymore, so I can't study there anymore. So this is a little bit annoying.
Yeah, I think I'll go next. For me, what I can say would be an advantage is that really being able to interact with the professors on a one-on-one personal level is a very big game changer for me. It's like it was a cultural change for me, and you have a more personal experience, and you're able to ask any questions you may have regarding what you're doing or what you're looking into doing study-wise. Also, the interaction with students, because we're also international students in an international program. So you get a chance to meet people from different parts of the world. And this actually helps us to learn new cultures and new things about different people. So you get to try out new food. The food actually here is really good. But you do get to try different types of cuisines from that people know how to make, and you just interact and you share. What I'll say was initially a challenge, but you sort of overcome it with time. Like for me, my day one, I came alone and I didn't know Hebrew, so it was a bit difficult to make my way around. But eventually, you talk to a few people here and there. You ask for directions. You use Google Translate, and you find your way around. The other thing I found challenging was for the undergraduate program at the Technion, we have Mechina, which is like a preparatory period. And this basically, it's like a sieving program kind of system where it's deemed to bring out the best side of you. So that, you're the best of the best. But this was like, for me, bit challenging coming from a different type of education system, and I had to adjust. But being able to overcome this challenge really helps as you move forward with your degree, as you're able to face any challenges that come up and say, look, if you're able to face this before, might be a smaller challenge to tackle. So it's much easier to actually deal with any issues that may arise in the course of your study, or something you might find in your research or something like that you might see as a setback, but really you'll always dig in to look for possible solutions.
Great. I'd also like to mention, I think Aurora, you mentioned about the pandemic. Israel is now offering vaccines to everyone, including non-citizens. So many of the international students that are currently studying here have been able to get vaccinated, which is really great. Awesome, great. So that's been really great, I think, and it's allowing all of us to slowly get back to university, to studying at the university, not just on Zoom. So that's been really exciting. Okay, so now we're gonna open it up for questions from anyone who would like to ask. Susan, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Susan. I'm from Taiwan. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Very cool. Right, so I have a list of questions that I want to ask, so I'll go one by one. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So first, I want to hear from your digital difference just from her is that there's also university in the negative. So it's like, that's also interesting. So do you think I should apply for just Hebrew University, or should I make attempts to different university? Because like it takes time to apply. It takes money too.
Susan,
Is my question clear?
We didn't quite hear the beginning part.
Okay. Maybe it's my internet connection because it's not so stable. So my question is, should I apply to just one school, or should I try different schools? Because right now I want to apply for Israel studies at Hebrew University.
Mm-hmm. Do any of you guys have experience applying to more than one place?
No.
So
No,
sorry?
If I can suggest, like when you apply to school, it's always good to do more than one, especially if you really want to join Israel, because you will multiply your chance. But I think the procedure are quite easy in Israel. So you can do it in a few days. You will be done with it. And my experience with Haifa University is that they answer to you very quickly about is all your docs are correct, etc. So it's not like a stressful experience to do, honestly.
How many did you apply?
Honestly, in Israel, only one. Only Haifa University, because I really wanted the dual degree. So it's in Israel only one, yeah.
But you did in Europe too.
Yeah, but I applied in Europe as well.
Okay. Because I read from the internet that the acceptance rate of Hebrew University is only 25%. So I don't really want to miss the chance to go. Okay. Okay. The second question is, what's the quarantine procedure or policy for students from Taiwan or people from Taiwan? We're probably the greenest country this year.
Marissa, would you like to answer that?
Sure. At the moment, Israel is requiring people to quarantine from all countries, no matter where you come from.
Okay.
This is a very dynamic situation. So it could change, obviously, depending on the pandemic and the situation with the vaccines. Since I assume you won't be coming in anytime in the next couple of months because you have to apply and start. I would just say you should try to keep updated on our Study in Israel website, which we can send the link in the chat. We have the regulations for the quarantine and for visa procedures and everything. So before you come, you should check there. Your university will also notify you to let you know what the exact procedure is.
Yeah. For Hebrew University, the summer program starts on the 1st of August. Sorry for cutting you. It starts from the 1st of August. So does that mean I need to plan my departure like 2 weeks in advance?
Yeah, almost like it's between 10 days to 2 weeks. Again, this could be different in the summer since it's very dynamic, but let's just assume that things will stay the same. Then yeah, you should plan to come during July so that you can do the quarantine before your studies begin.
Okay. And my third question, if there's anyone else that wants to ask question, please just go ahead. And nobody. Okay, so I'm moving to the third question.
Yeah, I'll ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, I had a talk with Marissa earlier today, so she guided me really well. And I have really got everything about to know about what I am studying. Actually, I have mentioned about myself in the chat box. I am currently a Bachelor's of Mechanical Engineering student, and next year I'll be graduating from India. And then in future, I was really curious about this vertical farming technologies, and I have learned a lot about it. And I have studied that in Israel, these technologies are implemented a lot, and many researches are going on in Israel. And I was really flabbergasted with all those researches. And I have studied that in this controlled environment agriculture study in BGU University, and in I guess which one you suggested, Marissa?
The Hebrew University faculty.
Yeah, Hebrew University. So after that, I really get contacted with those faculties also at BG University. They also suggested me about some desert research program over there. So I guess Liz, Miss Liz, you are right? So I would really like to know more about what's that desert research, because I am completely unaware of that study.
I didn't do desert research myself, but we shared a campus with them. So what I can tell you is they're at the forefront of everything to do. I mean, it makes sense with the desert, but this includes agriculture. This includes like insects, every part of the ecosystem that has to do with the desert. Like they're a part of. I can't give you much more than that, but the campus is very much a research campus. They have labs in the desert. It's a lot of hands-on interaction. I'm sure it's the Albert Katz, if I'm not mistaken. They have a lot of stuff online, but I can tell you their location it's like a prime location for research. The facilities there are really nice. So yeah, I would definitely consider it, but I can't tell you more about the program itself.
Okay. Yeah, also in my conversation with a faculty of BGU right now, so she told me that like currently I'm in my mechanical engineering, and in my future I would like to study about agriculture. So she suggested me that you pursue any particular degree, either in mechanical engineering or else any particular another degree in agriculture science. And I can have my research, because what I'm interested into this vertical farming or hydroponics or aeroponics. So this field is quite a detailed or a precise field. So she suggested me to have a research on that topic, and then I can have my like faculty guides from both the departments of agriculture as well as engineering. So is it like viable over there that I can have researches over then, or I can apply for internships in some startups or any other like projects related to this topic?
I'll say that a lot of the professors themselves are very integrated also with industry and have connections in the industry. So that's something, again, it really depends where you study and what lab you choose. But that's something that can be integrated through there and through their connections that they have. But it makes sense what she recommended for you to do.
Okay.
If I
And
can
also, yeah.
No, I understand you because I'm a bit in the same situation. I want to use my summer to do an internship over here. And I did contact some of my, so I'm not in the same field than you two, but for the experience of how it works, I did contact teachers, and they are really helpful. And the centers of research in universities are really well developed. I mean, for IFA University it is. And they're really looking like forward for students to integrate it during the summer. So definitely look at the university you're interested in and look at the centers, and do not hesitate to contact the teachers over there because center researchers are like really into having help from students.
Right. Thanks a lot about it. It was really supporting for me. Also, another question was there from my side, and that's like, what are the like after I enroll for any course? So, what are the opportunities that institute provide us related to some placements, or else if I'm particularly interested in entrepreneurship, so what are the opportunities lying? How institute helps us in that?
I can speak for Ben Gurion University. Some of the things they do, I'm not sure if it's exactly in agriculture and all the things that you're focused on, but there's a high-tech park located in Beersheba directly next to the university. And I would say there's a lot of mutually beneficial cooperation that goes on between the two. And like they're both the main centers of, I would say, development and growth in the Negev. So I think that's very helpful. There's also other ways to like leverage your degree with networks. Once I finished my master's degree, I was legally allowed to work. And the university and the connection of the university and of my advisors and the people that I worked with eventually led to me being able to work in the industry that I wanted to.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for your guidance, and I really like to have a conversation with you all guys. So it was really nice conversation with you. Thanks a lot.
We hope that helped. There's also a question from Anirban.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Antoine. This question is for you. You are studying MBA at Haifa University. What I would like to know is just very briefly, if you can tell me what is the duration of your program, what sort of internship opportunities are you getting, and post completion of your MBA program, I'm not presuming that you would wish to stay back in Israel and work, but if that was the case, then what would be your possibilities, and what are the regulations regarding that? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. So I'm doing an intensive program, which means that usually a master is in 2 years, and I do in 1.5. So it means I think it's four period or 5. I finished basically in September, at the end of September this year, and I started in September last year. So it's almost 1 year of study. I don't have vacations, but it's basically mean to be a program when you follow at the same time as you're working. So you usually have a job at the same time, and it's a part-time study, which means that I have basically my course on Thursdays and Fridays. The rest of the week, I'm just free. So it's a little bit more intense regarding courses, but there are a little bit less personal work to have. And what I plan to do after with this is, so for now, I don't know, but it's really broad. It's a really broad program. So I want, for example, now to maybe get more interested into finance, and it's feasible with this program as it's the basics of business and the specialization in sustainability. So as Israel is a leader of sustainability regarding water, I think I could find something also in the water sector in here. But for now, so like I don't know exactly what I plan to do. I'm looking for jobs actually. So yeah, I hope I answered the questions. Maybe what I could add is the cost of the formation. It's around $11,000, which is really much less than compared to US MBAs or different kind of studies.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really surprised to know, that the cost is so affordable. But my counter question is, since you're mentioning you're doing a part-time MBA, I would assume that you can do that in Israel because you're a European. Because I mean, my presumption was that international students had to study full-time and perhaps work part-time.
Mm-hmm. That's so my objective at the beginning was to come here to study part-time and to have the job at the same time.
Right.
But unfortunately, because of the pandemic, I was lacking to find a job and it was really difficult to find it. So I'm having ideas or creating my own business, or I'm trying to get so like a remotely work, but I still have time to manage this. So it's really, really cool in this way.
Excellent. Good luck. Good luck, Antoine.
Thank you
so much.
I hope you come and join us.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll add though that it's not because he's a European. In general, the regulation is for international students to be enrolled in an academic institution. It's not about the percentage of time they study. So students from around the world, if they're in these type of programs, what's important is that they're pursuing a degree program in the university, and then they're allowed into the country and to get the visa.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, cool. I think we're almost done. Susan, did you have any more additional questions? I can't hear you. You're on mute.
I know. I was looking for the button. Right. So I wanted to follow up on Nirvan's question. Like, Antoine, I'm curious to know, like, in terms of time management, do you think you would have been able to work plus study at the same time if there wasn't a pandemic?
Yeah, definitely. So right now, what I'm doing is to try to find a job as part-time. And when I mean part-time, it's really close to full-time. It's 30 hours per week. So I think I could manage this. So for example, if I can give you a concrete example, I would be willing to work from Sunday until mid of Thursday, have my classes on Thursday and Friday, and have my personal work and study on Saturday. So I would be full-time working and studying, and maybe not even enough time to do some sports or go around visit the city. But I think it's feasible, honestly.
Honestly,
right.
we had the chance to compare our programs, because I'm doing a full-time master, and Antoine, so MBA kind of part-time. And honestly, you will have time to if people want to work next to it. I think it asks a bit of organization, but not a lot of effort to be able to manage it. So it depends on your personality. You know, if you feel like you want to really work and you're organized, you can do it. Honestly, it's not a problem. And the school really adapts to it. The teacher knows about the deadline can be extended for people who have work next to it. Honestly, it's very, as we said before, it's way less formal than some other university in Europe or elsewhere in the world. The teacher are really understanding the students' needs and what we live here, and so they really adapt, honestly.
Thank you. And then I want to ask, are you guys on scholarship? How much money, like for monthly allowances? Wait, how much money per month do you need to spend on food, accommodation, transportation, and other personal expenses? And just like, how much money do I need to bring to Israel, basically?
So for us, we had the chance to have a scholarship from Haifa University directly. It's honestly a very good scholarship. I think both of us are paying half of the of the master fee. So that's really cool. After the dorms with the university was not that expensive at all compared to Europe. We are two, so it helps. But I think we have friends who lives like alone here, and it's honestly affordable as well. Where we live, it's a bit more expensive than on campus. As Antoine said, there is two dorms for Haifa University. So that's a good point as well, honestly, to come as a student here. The dorms are quite cheap. And for the food, I don't know if I can give you like an exact number for a month, but it depends like what you eat and what you like. But honestly, if you take the lazy student lifestyle, who always want to go outside and eat something easily because he has to study or he wants to do something cool, eating outside, I don't know if it's because of the pandemic, but it's quite cheap. Street food are always around, and you can easily get a pita with hummus and everything you want inside easily. So in overall, like we've been studying in Berlin and London as well, and compared to that kind of countries and capitals, it's way more affordable.
If I could allow myself to give concrete numbers, as I spoke about, like the fee of my study, you know, $11,000. I think I'm paying now so like 6,500, something like that, which means that the school really supports me, so supports like the fact that I want to study here also. And regarding food, I think I would give so like a really huge number. Then you can also so like have your budget in it. I think $400 per month for food
maximum
is really enough.
500?
400.
Or 400.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's really like it's a huge amount, honestly. So it means that you can have beers, you can buy cocktails, and you can also buy go to restaurants. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Haifa is cheaper than Jerusalem. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
We've been to Jerusalem, and in the old town, Catherine is not here, but in the old town, it's quite cheap as well. Like you will find places like you can eat well for not that much. But I think in overall, yes, it depends on the city as well.
I receive a little bit different of a scholarship. I receive like a monthly living stipend. And I also happen to live in the center, which is definitely the most expensive. I live right near Tel Aviv. And it covers the costs for sure. And then I have very minimal tuition fees. So it depends on your university and your program, but you can also get cost of living, which you basically can spend the money however you want. I mean, I would put it towards rent if I were you, but it is really up to you what you choose to do with it. And I receive probably almost $2,000, a little bit less depending on the exchange rate a month in order to like live. But I'm responsible for my tuition and everything else.
Liz, is that the scholarship from your university or from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs?
It's from the university. Usually the institutes that I'm a part of are very specific. So it's usually through the institute itself for the field of study. And it was the same for both my master's and for my PhD, the type of scholarship that I received.
Right. And my next question is for you, Liz. How would you suggest that if I don't want to stay in the international students bubble, how do I get out of this bubble to be more involved with the local people?
Like Marissa Yarden said, there's like Time, which is basically you can find apartments, you can join Facebook groups. The biggest challenge I would say is a lot of the apartments when you're renting, they require a guarantor who's an Israeli citizen, which can be hard, or large like check deposits like from the bank. So that is one challenge. I think like Aurora said it best, that it's, you know, maybe start on campus for your first semester here to kind of get your bearings and to know what neighborhoods you want to live in, you know, what neighborhoods are actually accessible to your university with transportation, and then move in that direction. And I would talk to, you know, your Israeli friends that you make. You can choose to go into a roommate apartment where you may not need as many qualifications, where your lease might be with, you know, a roommate instead of a landlord. But I think the best form is to start on the university and then go from there. Like that's what most of the people in my program did. It's what I did as well. And I think it works out for the best, and it kind of protects you as well.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel closer? Thank you. And do you feel closer to international students, like in terms of making friends, or do you feel closer to Israel?
For me, I think it's a bit different situation just because I've been here for so long. But you know, it's a nice mix. Like the friends that I made during my master's program who are international. One of my best friends, she's German, and you know, I've gone and visited her. Like I said, my Israeli friends that are part of the program I'm still friends with, and the longer I've been here, you know, you kind of acquire people and friends along the way. So yeah, I would say it's fully a mix, and I would just suggest, you know, being open to like the people and the opportunities around you, and you're gonna have a lot of great experiences, regardless of who you end up, I don't know, feeling closest to. But on the bright side, now I have a lot of friends around the world that once everything opens up, you know, I can go visit and stay for free. So it's great.
Honestly, I will add that we tend to think that in the dorms, there is only international students. But for example, in our dorms, there is more Israeli people than international students. So it's not because you're in the dorms that you will not be with the people from the country, because many students, I mean, I realize it in Israel compared to France, many students are traveling inside the country to study either like in another city that they were born in. So like they are also looking to find friends and to meet people where they are. So it's really open-minded.
Perhaps also add, generally, in the dorms as well, as Aurori just mentioned, you might interact with both international students and local students, and it's just a good chance to interact with who you might find as your roommate in your apartment. At the same time, like in my degree program, the university gives the options to the Israeli students to register to our courses in English. So we get to also meet them in our classes and actually socialize and interact with them.
Thank you.
Okay, if there aren't any more questions, then we're going to end the session. So yeah, thank you so much, Aurori, Antoine, Jonathan, and Liz, for participating. I think this was really helpful. And anyone who was listening, we hope to see you soon in Israel. And you can continue asking questions throughout the day in the chat on the Study in Israel Easy Virtual Fair website. And so thank you very much for your time.
And do not hesitate to go on Instagram to follow Study in Israel in Instagram, because international students are taking it over, and you will see the daily life of international student over here. So it's pretty cool.
For sure. Thanks for including that.
No problem.
Okay, see you all. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.